Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. It is, let's see, 3:02, and we will call our meeting of Tuesday, March the 10th to order.
Amazing.
Everybody's here. It's exciting to see everyone here, and we have a full house. Do we have a quorum?
Yes,
Jennifer?
we do have a quorum.
Awesome. So if you would, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we get started, just want to make a couple of comments in regards to what might be the last board meeting for our esteemed Mr. DeGroat and Mr. Volk. I just want to say that as someone who came in after they were already on board, it for me was so good to be able to have the example that these gentlemen set and what it means to give to your community selflessly, because this is a working board, and it takes a lot of effort. And to have the kind of people that we have on this board, I think is a great thing for our community. And I don't know that they really realize the talent that we have on this board. And so it's going to be difficult to replace you, Steve. It's going to be difficult to replace you, Jim. I thank you for your selfless commitment to working while you were on here. And I don't know what else to say other than thank you. And
Thank you.
I think you deserve a round of applause.
Yes.
Steve, how many years, sir?
My first year was 2003.
Uh-huh.
I served 6 years. And I had to be reminded that I was off 5 years. And then the county judge, Veronica Escobar, called me one day and asked me if I would serve again. So that was
So it
6
was
years
round
ago.
two.
So
And Jim, you did two terms, 6 years, and then you'll be off a year and then come back on? Or-
Adios. Amigo.
It was worth a try. It was worth a try. Okay, Miss Jennifer, we're ready.
We're ready. Okay. Very good. So at this time, we do move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items number 4 through 16. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the board members would like to pull for additional discussion? If not, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes?
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved. We now move on to our regular agenda. Receive and take appropriate action on the CEO report for the El Paso County Hospital District doing business as University Medical Center of El Paso. Mr. R. Jacob Cintrone, President and CEO.
Good afternoon. Before I start, we did just finish up with a press conference with numerous representatives of the various hospital systems, the city public health, and the county, going over our preparation for the coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it's known, and really just to demonstrate to the city the preparation that's gone on, the right classifications, the age risk stratifications, and so forth related to the disease. I know our chief medical officers from the 3 health systems also met yesterday as they prepare, and I think Ryan is going to be reaching out to the public relations people of the other hospital systems in terms of, communicating as these things progress. But I think the hospital systems are well prepared. There are about a little over 400 testing kits in the city. To date, only one has been used by the city. And, and basically we have had no cases reported in El Paso. As you know, there have been cases reported as close as Phoenix and San Antonio and Houston. We continue to look at, our steps and protocols. And as you know, they change, so we keep up with the CDC and the World Health Organization to make sure that we're current. The other hospitals are doing the same. We're also going to be reaching out to the physician groups with Dr. Hendricks' support as our CMO in terms of the, proper steps and protocols as it relates to patients that may present that in the physician's mind may seem like that person may have a coronavirus, and what the CDC recommends for that. So in the abundance of caution, everybody's working real well in communicating through the EOM to make sure that we're all in sync. It included airport officials, ISDs, and other, the higher learning institutes. So Mayor DeMargo and Judge Richard Samaniego are presenting there, as well as the Department of Public Health. So more of that will come to fruition as we get more information. We'll be glad to pass it to others. Beginning here, we did UMC along with the other hospital providers, HCA and Tenet, and the first responders from the EOM group and our fire department were honored by the El Paso Inc. in the El Paso of the Year event, February 26th at Fort Bliss. All the first responders were designated as first responders as El Pasoans of the Year. This was really just thanking everyone and how well they worked together during the August 3rd mass shooting, which was a day of tragedy and an act of hate. And the key there was to emphasize the strength of the community, the perseverance, the healing, and the reliance we have on one another. Some of you were there at that luncheon. As you can tell, for some, it is still an emotional event that took place. And so we're really appreciative of how everyone worked really well together to demonstrate how El Pasoans really are El Paso strong in coordinating our efforts and supporting our fellow El Pasoans, as well as other visitors we had in El Paso that day that were affected. Additionally, we had Congresswoman Escobar visit our Nurse Family Partnership Program on February 19th. This is a special program that pairs up a nurse with a first-time mom-to-be early in their pregnancy, and they continue providing support up until the child reaches the age of 2. And what it is it provides really a partnering and a working together in terms of how do you deal with, your first-time pregnancy, your nutrition, raising the child, developmental assessments. And, when I got there, I really, as you began to hear the stories and you realize that the nurse and the moms they partnered with were very close. And it wasn't just simply, well, they taught me if the baby didn't want to feed, what I needed to do, or what steps in terms of their levels of development, but rather you'd hear these young moms talk about how they were first-time moms, how they were financially struggling, or how they were the main provider for the family, how there were times they were emotionally just drained, and how this nurse became their best friend, how the children grew to accept them as almost surrogate family members. And it was very emotional. You could see the parents and the nurses and a bond that really caught me off guard, and it was very emotional. I could feel myself getting a little emotional. I was next to Congresswoman Escobar, and I had to turn my back because I didn't want her to see me, sort of tearing up because of allergies. And and you realize the real closeness, and that's when you begin to appreciate these kinds of programs go beyond just some prescriptive list of things to do, but how it creates a bond for these young moms and being able to be successful, and then the success of the program statewide in terms of the outcomes that they get for those moms, especially when you're dealing with postpartum blues and some of the other pressures that may happen in young motherhood. Additionally, we had, and I mentioned this the last time, Texas Hospital Association at their annual conference on February 14th, myself and Russell Tippin, who's the CEO of the Medical Center Health System in Odessa, had an opportunity to respond, provide information on our response to the tragedies we experienced in our cities. And the room was very big. It actually seemed like it was bigger than that, but it was filled. And we had standing room only, but it was really amazing because you had a lot of people that, that had been through there, had lived in those cities and what they experienced. You also had other other tragedies that have happened in the state of Texas that are similar, and they were there. And a lot of the sharing of information as to how you had to deal with not just the communication and the processing of patients coming in, but also the aftermath and how you dealt with, the family, providing family counseling, the staff counseling, if you will, dealing with the media, dealing with, the follow-up questions in terms of the post-action assessments and the things learned, and how every hospital that goes through this, from Summerlin and Santa Fe, Texas, and others, how everyone shares this information so that the Texas health system as a system itself gets better each time. So we presented that. It was about an hour-long presentation and had good response from the audience. Additionally, as it relates to governmental relations, currently our STAR Plus program is a Medicaid program for those with disabilities or that are 65 years of age or older, so not your typical young person. And there's been some litigation involved in that Health and Human Services awarded the plans to different providers. So for example, Aetna was a big recipient of a lot of the statewide STAR Plus plans, and others like Amerigroup did not get selected again, even though they had the programs before. UMC, this was our first time applying for the program, and we were the only community health plan that was actually accepted in the program and scored the highest of all the plans that were reviewed. Houston and San Antonio community health plans filed a lawsuit because statute requires that they be allowed in, and so Houston won their lawsuit at the lower court. The state has filed an appeal. We, on the other hand, were worried that with all this litigation, was our STAR Plus plan at risk, and we were notified that our STAR Plus plan, which is supposed to start September 1st of this year, will start on January 1st of 2021, so a quarter delay. But we have been notified that our plan will continue, so we're very proud of that. We also listed the Medicaid Fiscal Accountability Rule, or known as MFAR, and this really determined in part how safety net hospitals could fund, for example, for other programs like the LPPF and DSRIP and so forth. And CMS trying to restrict the sources of funds we could use for this, which would then, in essence, save them money because their match would then be lowered. Every state and pretty much every hospital has sent letters not supporting this. Our Health and Human Services Commission in the state also sent letters not supporting this. And about 4,200 entities have submitted letters and comments asking that this rule be overruled and not put in place. We know that based on the leadership we have at the federal level, there's a lot of opposition to this, so we're hoping that it does get overturned. The other issue is the public charge rule, and this is really, it allows immigration authorities to deny visa or entrance if the applicant uses certain public benefits. As of February 24th, this rule was expanded to include specific Medicaid, SNAP, and housing benefits. So the worry is that while individuals that are from another country has the opportunity to use certain benefits within certain circumstances, the concern is that if there's fear that they might get deported for using those benefits, they may not even pursue benefits that they're legally entitled to. And the concern there is, especially if it deals with their health, might they wait to seek help and postpone it till later until it becomes much worse, when there are programs that are designed now to be able to assist them and for which they qualify for. So we're going to be working on an education program to make sure that those that are here from another country realize what programs are going to be monitored and what programs are not that they have access to. We also had yesterday a couple of tours. Dr. Heather Wilson, who's president at UTEP, came by and toured our facilities, the ER, our stroke unit and neuroscience unit, as well as the El Paso Children's NICU. Basically wanting to know, because as you know, we have a lot of programs in coordination with UTEP. We get a lot of their students through here on a number of affiliation agreements. So she wanted to sort of walk by and meet some of the UTEP students that were working here, and also ask some of our leadership about the quality of the program and the students, and were there things that we could do better on the UTEP side so that these students, when they do come into the private workforce or the public workforce, are able to perform better. It also gave us an opportunity to see how we could work jointly to increase the supply of some of these healthcare provider positions, such as nurses, physical and occupational therapists, specialty type, for example, nurse practitioners for more of the specialties. And so it was a good meeting for us. And then State Rep Art Fierro came by as well a little later in the afternoon, toured our emergency department, as well as our interventional lab department and the NICU, as well as I think the oncology unit at the Children's Hospital. As you know, he's been a big supporter of our health program. He was the author of a program that was designed to give us some additional support, and he is working with us with the Health Commission to be able to provide us to get some additional funds that will help us enhance the service we do in the neuroscience area. So again, these are great opportunities to show him what we do. He had not been in the hospital since before the building of the Children's Hospital. So he was very impressed with, quite frankly, the leadership of this board in being able to invest in our community and in this hospital, as well as children's, to provide the level of care that we provide now in El Paso. We also had the annual recognition of cancer survivors and associates. This was a new program we inaugurated. All those photos you see in the ribbons are actual employees that are cancer survivors. They were honored in February in recognition of the battles they fought and the resilience in fighting their cancer diagnosis, and in afterwards, once they went into remission, the things they've done to continue encouraging others. For example, we had many of the common cancers that I was surprised at some of the employees that you would never have known were cancer survivors, yet when they would tell their stories were really motivational. We had, associates that had some of the most common cancers, including thyroid, breast, testicular, colon, brain, pancreatic, and more. And each survivor was presented with a special ribbon that showed the different color ribbons. Each color of the ribbon represents a different type of cancer, and we were able to get one for each one. And so that was a great way for us to honor associates and their resilience in their own journey as they overcome challenges such as fighting cancer. And then we had our Texas Tech and UMC physicians featured on a television program related to cardiology and electrophysiology. Dr. Mukherjee, who's the chairman of the Department of Internal Medicine and chief of cardiovascular medicine, along with Dr. Moeen Abedin, who is our own cardiac electrophysiology physician who oversees the UMC Heart Rhythm Clinic, were featured guests on February 27th at the El Paso Medical Society show, and they were talking about the latest technologies as it relates to cancer care and heart rhythm. We also had a chance to see our own El Paso Children's Hospital reach its 8th birthday on February 14th. And what a great year. I mean, they're operating in the black. They've offered a great deal of services. I believe it's 85% of patients that used to have to travel out of town now stay in town for the care that's provided at El Paso Children's. And they are running into space issues, which I thought would be a long time coming, but it's already upon us. So we're really happy for them and their celebration, and not only the celebration that they had the 8th birthday, but that they are financially doing very well. I want to thank Cindy and her, Stout and the leadership she's displayed along with her team, and being great partners with us as they, among our other entities, are really working well together to improve the care that's provided in our community. I did mention to Ryan, is he here about what about our 105th birthday that occurred on January 25th, and we sometimes forget about that. You know, we enjoyed the 10-year anniversary that Texas Tech went through and 8 years with Children's, so we need to do something about our 105-year, anniversary for us.
We'll definitely do that.
And I wasn't here during that time, but I understand Cindy was, so just kidding. And then I think we'll now do the UMC minute. Ryan?
Yes. You can go ahead and cue that up. It's on a separate location. Just going to cue that up in 1 second. And again, this is a look back on the prior month. And here it is.
And just one final thing, when I talk about how UMC was recognized at THA as well as El Paso Inc., I refer to UMC as the district, but it really was individual awards that were presented to UMC Hospital as well as El Paso Children's Hospital, who also took care of some of the victims from the August 3rd shooting. If there's no questions, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you. May we have a motion to accept the CEO report?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Thank you. The CEO report is accepted. We now move on to agenda item 18, review and adopt changes to the UMC El Paso Healthcare Incorporated bylaws. Ms. Carrie Antwine, County Attorney.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
These changes are recommended from the Board of Directors of UMC El Paso Healthcare, Inc. And just as a reminder, this entity is a nonprofit healthcare organization that's been certified by the Texas Medical Board, which was created in September of this past year by the district. I'll give you a summary of the changes. The changes being recommended are to allow UMC's CEO to approve expenditures outside of the corporation's annual budget and also to approve contracts that exceed $1,000, to allow the compensation of the physicians who are board of directors after they submit a timesheet for approval, to align the fiscal year of the entity with the district, so from October 1 to September 30th, and also updated the signature page to include this Board of Managers chair. Any questions I can answer for you all?
Any questions, comments from anyone?
Move approval?
Second.
Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Thank you. The changes to the UMC El Paso Healthcare Incorporated bylaws is accepted and approved. We now move on to agenda item number 19, Mr. Nunez, would you like me to read all three of the next items into record? The next three items are related, so I'll be reading all three into record. Discuss and take appropriate action on the operator's representative agreement with Healthcare Support Management under the Quality Incentive Payment Program for nursing homes, and upon approval for the President and Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and execute the agreement. Agenda item 20, discuss and take appropriate action on the management agreement with Regent Management Services under the Quality Incentive Payment Program for nursing homes, and upon approval for the President and Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and execute the agreement. Agenda item 21, discuss and take appropriate action on the sublease with Regent Care Center of El Paso under the Quality Incentive Payment Program for nursing homes, and upon approval by the El Paso County Commissioners for the President and Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and execute the agreement. Mr. Michael Nunez, Chief Financial Officer.
At this time, I'm going to conference call in Kevin Olting. He was scheduled to be here, but for fears of the flights of coronavirus, he elected to stay back in Austin. So give me a second here. Hello, Kevin. Hi, this is Michael here at the UMC Board of Managers meeting.
Great.
So, okay. Behind tab O, there's an executive summary of the three agreements, and then there's individually the management agreement, the operators agreement, and then as well as a sublease agreement. Let me go ahead and just start off with the background. Back in January 2020, Kevin Olting with Healthcare Support Management and myself made a presentation to the Board of Managers about this nursing home Medicaid QUIP program, the Quality Incentive Payment Program. And some of the benefits that we're looking into this program are, one, from a standpoint of patient throughput, by partnering with a nursing home, they would set aside like 4 beds for us in the event that we have patients that are no longer appropriate for in a hospital acute care setting, that we would transfer to them, which are more for a skilled nursing facility. Secondly, in terms of the quality incentive payment program, that based upon certain quality metrics that the nursing home would have to achieve, they would need a public hospital partner such as UMC so that we could do the intergovernmental transfer to Health and Human Services Commission. So then that would get the federal match, from the federal government, and then there would be a pool of money. So, UMC would get our initial IGT back, and then on top of that, in terms of the federal match, then that's what would be shared between Regent Care, UMC, and then also with the Healthcare Support Management. There was initially probably about nine facilities within the El Paso area that would be eligible. For this partnership, we had reached out, and there was about 3 of them that had expressed initial interest: Regent Care Center of El Paso, Monte Vista Coronado, and then Montevilla Nursing Center. Of the 3, Regent Care was the one that really came to the plate first and seemed to have the most interest. Monte Vista seemed to have interest, but it looked like they probably would be more interested in the next year when we go into year 5 of this program. In February, we did receive authorization from the Board of Managers to at least file with Health and Human Services Commission our intent to enter into this program and to start filing the change of ownership form, also known as a CHOW. Now, this was not. We still have up until April 1st, once after we did our due diligence of whether we wanted to pull back from this transaction. But right now, April 1, 2020 would be the effective date. So the 3 agreements that are listed here, one is a management agreement. All of these agreements would have an effective date of April 1st, 2020. So in terms of the change of ownership, it's not that UMC is acquiring the bricks and mortar and the full operations. This is strictly for the operations of the nursing home. So the management agreement would be with Regent Care Center. El Paso. They would continue to be the administrator, the on-site day-to-day supervisor of the nursing home activities. In terms of the billing responsibilities, that although we have the license, the billing would still be under Region Care, that they would be responsible for the billings. Now, what does happen is that the monies, because we do have the license, the monies would come to UMC. We will establish a separate designated bank account for this, and then all revenues and expenses to be paid for the operations of Region Care. Was it the nursing home would be paid from this bank account. A couple of other key items. I mean, it's about a 30-page document, but Omar and I went through it at length in terms of, even from an insurance perspective, Region would purchase and maintain for the benefit of UMC and HSM all insurance required by the current landlord of the building. And we also did talk about insurance limits, liability protection, and Omar can go over some of those in further detail. The sublease agreement is currently right now Regent Care does. They lease the building from a company called Texas Health Development. So what in essence would happen, there'd be a sublease agreement now between Regent, as them now being the lessor, and then UMC being the lessee, and then we would go ahead and through the monthly billings of the nursing home revenues, that's how the lease expense would be paid. And currently, right now, the proposed lease is about I think $48,000 a month, and that's how that would work. Taxes, whether it's personal property taxes, real property taxes, that would also be paid from these revenues. And the term on this would also start April 1st, 2020, terminate on August 31st, 2022, and then with the option that this would renew for for successive 1-year periods. The last agreement, known as the Operator Representative Agreement, is with Healthcare Support Management Company, and this is Kevin Nolting's company. Now, Kevin he probably has about 130 of these nursing home partnerships that he's done over the past 4 years. So that's who we have consulted with in terms of this program. So his responsibilities were that HSM, as the operations representative, would advise UMC upon request with regard to the facility on a day-to-day basis. They would have the authority to oversee, but not necessarily operate the facility in accordance with the operating agreement between UMC and Regent. Again, this agreement would be effective April 1st, 2020, expire on August 31, 22, and just like the other ones would have successive one-year renewal periods. One of the items that we have now, in terms of the distribution of their fees, it is calculated on a what they call licensed bed day fee, and currently right now it's about a $6 per day by UMC for this fee. But there is a cap in terms of capitation limit of about 10%, going back to the quality incentive payments that are coming back. Was it their share would be capped at about 10, or would be capped at 10%, and we're estimating right now that should Regent achieve all of their incentive metrics, there probably would be in the neighborhood maybe about $950,000 in total quality incentive payments. 50% of that would go to Regent, 40% to us, and then 10% to HSM. So in a synopsis, those are the key terms of all the three agreements. Right now, if Omar wants to add anything from a legal perspective, and then if we have any questions, Kevin's on the line as well.
I'm in the process of reviewing. There's some tweaks that need to occur in the agreements to protect the hospital district. But in my due diligence, I've inquired with other hospital districts around the state who've also entered into these similar types of agreements. These are working well for the other hospital districts. I've inquired as to pitfalls and things of that nature. They've indicated that the process has flowed smoothly. The QUIP program is very effective in those particular hospital districts.
So you said you're currently making some edits?
There's some slight tweaks that need to be made, but it's...
We then vote on them based on those?
The motion is to give the CEO the authority to negotiate and execute the agreements. And with the sublease pursuant to the bylaws of the board, it would have to go up to Commissioners Court, as the Commissioners Court does have the authority to approve any leases in excess of $250,000 per year.
Any other questions or comments for Omar or the gentleman on the line?
It's strictly for Medicaid
Yes,
eligible patients.
that is correct, yes.
And
How many?
And how many beds are allocated in total at the Regency for Medicaid versus?
Okay. Kevin, did you hear that question?
Yes, so every bed they have is certified with the state for Medicaid and Medicare patients. They're able to put private pay in if that's the payer source, or any kind of third-party payment from an insurance company. So every bed is actually eligible for a Medicaid resident. It's just that they have a different payer mix, usually at any given time based on the demand of the residents coming into the home.
That's good.
Pretty standard. Great, thank you. Kevin? Any other questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion?
So at this time, we'll take each individual agreement, or do we want to take it as a,
I
Mr.
would
Villa?
think
how-
we could, if we can do it as
a
one.
whole.
Yeah, that would be
As
better.
was, okay,
As read into record.
okay,
Did we have a second on that motion?
I second.
okay.
Thank you.
First was Mr. DeGroat, second was Ms. Martinez?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes?
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Okay, agenda
was a
items
full one
19
right
through
there.
21, as read into record, are approved. This does, did you have a
Thanks,
comment?
Kevin. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please note, this does conclude our regular agenda. The time is 3:38 PM. We will prepare to go into executive session. Okay,
good.
please note, we are now back in open session. The time is 4:43 PM. Based on the discussion during executive session, there will be no action taken on executive session item, I apologize, 22. Agenda item number 25, take appropriate action on the 2019 Annual Nursing Services Staffing Effectiveness Report and the 2020 Annual Nursing Services Staffing Effectiveness Plan. May I have a motion to accept the 2019 report and approve the 2020 plan?
So moved.
Second? I'm sorry, second?
Carmen?
Okay, Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes?
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Thank you. We now move on to agenda item 26. Take appropriate action on the fiscal year 2020 performance goals under the CEO employment agreement with the modifications discussed during executive session. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Olguin?
Yes.
Mr. DeGroat?
Yes.
Mr. Gallardo?
Yes?
Mr. Volk?
Yes.
Ms. Arieta?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The Board of Managers meeting is officially adjourned. The time is 4:44 PM.